You have made it. This is the last video in our New to First Pres Mommy video series, and I am so glad and grateful that you have made this journey with me. Thank you for taking the time to watch these videos, to listen to me, to try to understand in greater ways who we are as a congregation and as a church. I hope that through this time you have developed a much greater sense of belonging in the life of the church, not just because you know more as a result of these videos, but presumably as you've been worshiping with us and engaging in the life of the church through this time, you've gotten to know more people, you've gotten a sense of who we are, and you are feeling more and more comfortable in our midst. If that's true, then you are likely asking yourself the question, okay, so is it time, God, would you have me become a full member in the life of this church? And of course, my hope is that your answer to that would be yes, but we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. First, I want to introduce to you the last great end of the church. Remember, from the very beginning, we've been talking about this ancient statement, 150 years old. Is that ancient? This old statement called the 6 great ends of the church. It's in our church's constitution. It has guided our church over the decades, and it talks about an end, that is to say, a purpose for our existence. So we've talked about 5 of them. This is the last one, and I thought it appropriate to come out here and allow the steeple of our church to remind us of this last great end. You know, the last great end of the church calls us to exhibit the kingdom of heaven to the world. You know, the 6th great end of the church is the exhibition of the kingdom of heaven to the world. That is to say, in this awesome and mysterious way, God has called we, His people, to exhibit, to show off, to point to a new and coming reality that will come into the world. That is to say, our life together is a display to our neighbors, to all of these people driving by here on the street, to those who come in contact with us through concerts and through mission projects, for those who are aware of our presence, that the life that we share together is meant to display this greater, more beautiful, more awesome life that is coming into the world. It's a kingdom life that is fully realized in heaven, where Jesus perfectly rules and reigns. And that kingdom life, we're told in the Gospels, is coming into the world. The steeple of a church, not just our church, but any church, is there to represent that purpose and that reality. It points upwards. Not that heaven is literally up there somewhere above the clouds. We know heaven is not about geography, it's not about place, but heaven is a wholly different dimension, really. But we often think about it as up there, and so a steeple reminds us of this greater, more perfect reality that is breaking into the world. With that in mind, it helps me just objectively to think about that steeple almost turned upside down. So to visualize the kingdom of heaven now breaking into this world. And as it does, the goal of our life together is to display that to our neighbors and to the world around us. That I know we don't do it perfectly. We don't even really come close, but relative to the rest of the world, our goal is to be this alternative picture about what life can be when we live in loving relationship with our Lord, which means in loving relationship with one another as well. That when people see our church, we hope they see displayed in otherworldly life. That's our goal. Jesus said this to his disciples when he gathered with them in the upper room for the first time. He washed their feet, which was something no person of power, no teacher would ever do. And in fact, the disciples first objected, because to wash someone's feet was the role of the lowest in society, the lowest in the group, the lowest in the family. That was the day when you walked in sandals. Your feet were absolutely dirty. There was no sewage system, so who knows what you just walked through. And yet, Jesus took a basin and a towel, and he took the lowest position, and he washed his disciples' feet. And then he shared a meal with them, and he instituted what we call the Holy Communion, the Last Supper. And we talked about that in an earlier video. And as he did both of those things, here's what he said to his disciples. Hey, John 13, 34 and 35. A new command I give you. Love one another as I have just loved you. By this, all people will know you are my disciples if you love one another. The purpose of the church is to be the exhibition of the kingdom of heaven to the world. It's to point to a different reality, and we do that by loving each other in radical ways. That's why our church's motto is to love first. It means we don't agree about everything. We've talked about that, right? And sometimes it is a struggle to get along. Sometimes we get on each other's nerves. But if we're remembering who we're called to be, we are loving each other before anything else. And we love each other by serving one another. And when we do this well, people begin to see. And they go, there's a different reality going on there. And it's beautiful. And it's mysterious. And I want to know more about it. It's an exhibition. It's a display. Just like if you were to go to a shopping mall and you saw a display that makes you curious, sparks your interest, at least calls you into the store to maybe purchase whatever it is that has been on display. So it is with the church. That when people see us, it ought to make them curious. It ought to spark their interest. It ought to help them at least take a step towards Jesus to learn more. That's our purpose. That's why we're here together. And so I once again, I'm so glad that you are here with us, that you've found your way into our midst. If you've been worshiping with us, if you're engaged in the life of the church, rest assured, whether or not you become an official member, you are a valued part of our church family. But I do hope you'll give significant consideration to becoming a member of the church. To be a member of the church is not like being a member of other places. Most of the time in our world today, when we're talking about membership, we're talking about belonging because there is some value for us. If you're a member of a country club, you have some privilege that you enjoy because of your membership. If you're a member of the gas station that's 2 blocks that way, you have some privileges. Maybe you'll get a free coffee after you purchase 9 of them, something like that. Of course, membership in the church is nothing like that. Membership in the church is more about covenant. It is saying to God and to those who are in membership or in covenant with you that, hey, we're gonna live into these purposes. these ends of the church I've been talking about. We're going to do it together. We're going to journey together. We're going to walk together. We're going to give it our all. And we're not going to do it perfectly. We know that. And when we don't, we're not going to run away the very first time our toes get stepped on, or our feelings get hurt, or we're disappointed by leadership, or any of those types of things. Because we recognize who we are and where we're traveling and who it is that governs our life together, namely the one who loves us beyond any imagination, the one who has forgiven us over and over and over again, even as we seek to forgive one another, the one who has said, there is an end, and I will shepherd and guide you there together. And so, with that in mind, I pray and hope that you will consider becoming a member of the church. To do that, simply reach out to me or call the church office. Let them know, hey, I've watched these videos. I've come to a meal or two where we've gathered new people in the life of the church. I think I'm ready to take this step, and we will work with you to make sure that happens. And we will celebrate as God adds to our number and as God uses our growing number to glorify Himself and bless this community. Always remember, we are the church family, engaging each person to enrich our community for God's glory through Jesus. That's our mission, and we hope that you will share it fully with us.